Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Josie Sullivan Podcast. I am your host, Josie Sullivan, and with me today, I have my partner in crime, my other half, Brian Sullivan, the host of the Raw Egg Podcast here on YouTube. Hello, Brian. Welcome to the show.
Sup.
Sup. Very informative. Thank you for that. Very,
what is it?
Thrilling intro.
What is it? Isn't it, Theodore Roosevelt, speak softly and carry a big stick.
Yes, but you never speak softly, and you don't ever have a big stick,
Walking sticks are for losers.
You know what? Walking sticks are very helpful when it comes to hiking. But getting into our story for today, as most of you know, Roe v. Wade was overturned on Friday by the Supreme Court.
Big dubs.
Yes, but this has brought a lot of opinions to the surface on either side of the political aisle and on either side of this particular topic. Many of those being very upset and very angry about the SCOTUS decision on Friday. We actually are living in the tri-state area of Virginia, Maryland, and West Virginia, which means that we have prime location to cover protests in D.C., which is what we chose to do this weekend. We were out in front of the Supreme Court getting a lot of footage, figuring out, what these people's opinions were and really just seeing what was up over there. Brian, what did you think of the protests?
I mean, overall, I just thought it was really low energy, really boring. I mean, if everyone has Facebook, everyone has social media, just you see the way that they act. It's like, oh, we're gonna burn it into the ground. We're not gonna go down quietly. We're not gonna do this, that, and the other. And it's like it was just low energy. I really wasn't too impressed. Maybe in other areas of the country, but as far as like with DC and what we saw, no, it was really basic platitudes that's been the same, always the same platitudes. It's nothing new, nothing original, nothing like interesting. I mean, the most interesting part about it was them trying to shoehorn in the LGBT verbiage and all that into men giving birth. But other than that, it's just your same old, same old.
Yes, for sure. It was definitely interesting still, although not very violent. We went out to the Supreme Court on Friday night. Brian had to work late, so unfortunately we got out there a little bit later than would have been ideal. But by the time we got there, crowds had pretty much dispersed. The protest was pretty much gone, but there were reports of an Antifa presence in D.C., not a very violent one, but they were definitely there. They threw a few bottles at police officers, lit a smoke bomb, and I believe lit the American flag on fire. But Saturday, when we pulled up there mid-afternoon, there were a lot of people out in front of the Supreme Court with signs yelling. There were people, I think a specific organization, which I'll put the name to on the screen because I don't remember what it was right this second, but they had a speaker out there with microphones, and they were having people from the crowd come up and say what they wanted to the crowd. We have some footage of that, so I'll let that play here.
Keeping it going, give it up for Charlotte! Hi, I write poetry in my free time, and I just wanted to share something with you guys that I wrote before all of this, before Friday, but pretty recently, and I just feel like a lot of you may be able to relate. Never in my life have I ever felt as abused by men as I do now. After all we've been through, after all we've sacrificed, I thought it was enough. After all the taking they have done, after all the beatings, all the assaults, all the pain, I thought there would be nothing left on my body for them to play with. And after all the giving that we've done, we were too selfish to hand over our lives. So they took one. Everything I've ever dreamed of doing feels insignificant now. I'm an object. Use me, beat me, kill me. I'm too far gone to care. My blood is on your hands, and it's not just mine. It's everyone with ovaries. It's your mother. It's your sister. It is your daughter. It is your child. Dead by your own hand. Take everything everything you want from me, from us, slap a price tag on my body. I am nothing more than a piece of furniture, but that's not true. We are women, we are people, we are powerful. We built this. They couldn't exist without us. Thank you. I love every one of you. Stay hydrated.
So starting off strong, we have a young poet who wanted to get up there and share her poem with all of these people outside of the Supreme Court. Brian, what were your thoughts listening to this live and then re-listening to it right now?
Definitely no Jack Frost or Edgar Allan Poe, that's for sure.
Unfortunately,
the left is usually supposed to be what is full of the creatives, usually your musicians, your artists, and it just I don't understand what about that was poetry. I guess
there was no rhyming. It was not Dr. Seuss.
No, it was just really weak poetry. But no, it's just, and again, it's so funny because you'll see in other videos that will show that they can't even keep their own message consistent, where they talk about, like I was saying, they shoehorn in the LGBT verbiage, all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. The whole thing, it's hilarious. It's like, talking about, it's the women, the people with ovaries, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're talking about women, right? But I thought that's not how that worked anymore. To me, it's just funny that they cannot come up with a consistent message. And also, one thing that I found that was like just really huge about it, basically now that Roe v. Wade is overturned, that means like any value that she has is all of a sudden gone. So it's like, so are you just telling me that your only value is a sexual object? You're literally just proving that yourself. That's all you're saying, is because you can't abort a baby, then that means that you have no value as a person and your existence is mute. Like, I don't get it.
Right. It's almost as if, because of the decisions she makes, other decisions become harder, or other things she's trying to do in her life become harder because of the decisions that she's making, which definitely seems a little goofy.
What was really goofy about it was like, I'm a piece of furniture, but I'm not, though.
Right.
It's like, okay, I mean, that's fair, but like, you're not. Obviously, I'm a chair, darling. No. Yeah, it's ASDF. But no, it's no, I don't even understand. It's just goofy. Just one of the most interesting poems I've ever seen, that's for sure.
Definitely. I mean, I think just having that video, in about 20 to 30 years, we could make some money off of that. So I'm glad that we went for that reason alone, just so we have, proof of this magnificent poem.
And the thing that I'm so angry about is, like, obviously all these people have never been to like a slam poetry session. I go to them at least like 12 times a week, and every single time it's like, you're not supposed to clap and cheer, you're supposed to snap. And I did not see or hear a single person snapping. On top of that, I think
very disrespectful to the poet.
I think the thing that angered me the most out of all of it is, I was telling people to stay hydrated, and at the end of her thing, and just like, oh, stay hydrated. No, that is my line. I came up with that. I actually I copyrighted that. I will see you in court.
Honestly. Well, we have more speakers, so let's get on to the next one, shall we?
All right, give it up for Abby.
Just on my line. I said stay hydrated.
Hey, I'm Annie, also from Metro DC DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. I'm one of those people that have a health condition that could be deadly if I get pregnant, so thanks, fuckers, for all of this. I just want to say two things. As you get organized, you might need to do something boring. Miriam Cava was reminding us that it's important to help the DC Abortion Fund, fill out their papers, do the boring stuff. It's really important. And sometimes that boring stuff intersects with another thing, that who is going to be enforcing this abortion ban? The cops. In Virginia, where I live, they're already rolling it back. And some of the cops have said there is no defund movement in Northern Virginia.
Fuck the police!
Fuck 12! 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 Thank you.
So following the poet, we have in her words, one of those people that could die if she got pregnant. Definitely don't want to make light of any diseases here, but one thing that I would like to point out is that I know personally, here's an example. My parents are allergic to bees. My parents take a lot of precautions when it comes to things that could involve bees. You know, we never planted flowers growing up. We were very careful about it, you know, whenever we see a bee. I specifically will let my parents know, you know, like, there's a bee over here, don't come over here, or there's a nest, and take care of it, all of these things. So it does seem like if you had a medical condition that you could die if you got pregnant, you would be really cautious about doing it. You know, you don't really want to play with fire. I completely understand having health conditions that could make it harder or that could affect your life in a lot of different ways medically. So one of the things is she specifically is speaking out of a very personal realm, just talking about her specific medical condition. But, you know, when it comes to things like this, I think that precautions need to be made on their part of how to deal with these things. Brian, what do you think about what this young lady had to say?
I think right off the bat, one, I think it's really important because this speaker does actually, because we don't actually have the person who's the main, not the main speaker, but the main woman who is running it.
The host.
Yeah, the host. They're from the DSA, you know, Democratic Socialist of America. So a bunch of communists, right? Just right off the bat, it's like you have a whole event being run by communists, and of course you have communists that are, you know, out there advocating for the death of a bunch of children, just like how, like, the biggest cause of death in the past century was communism. But no, I think that, like, a lot of the premise of what she was talking about, one, it was kind of hard to take her seriously. You know, doing the whole F the police, you know, F12. It was really funny because to me she just reminded me of like Daffy Duck. You know, it was just goofy. But outside of that, what she was talking about, it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to do the boring stuff. No, they're not. They're not going to. They have low impulse control. That's why 95% of abortions happen in the first place is due to low impulse control. So these people.
It's why they're protesting in front of the Supreme Court on a Saturday when no one is home.
Yeah, no, they're not going to do anything. You know, they never do anything. If you actually go and look, I was on Facebook today and I saw a bunch of people who they were putting out funds for Planned Parenthood, and like since Roe v. Wade was overturned, they were only able to collect $10,000. So like, you know, I don't think that you guys are going to be able to do anything. One, because she brought up about how, if I get pregnant, I could die. No, yeah, maybe because your health condition, but you're not going to die because you can't get an abortion. It's just not true. You're lying. There's not a single state where it is illegal for someone with a medical condition who will die to be able to get an abortion. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like my phrase that I came up with earlier, you know, no one wants to listen to what abortionists have to say because they have to lie to try to get their way. You know, it's
the
just
truest
ridiculous.
Poet here.
See, that's what poetry looks like, you know, and I'm like definitely a Jack Poe.
Yes, well, we do have more speakers, so here comes the next one.
Sorry, give up for Annie. And now let's hear for Emily.
So y'all don't know me. Emily's my middle name because I'm scared to give my name, because what if I can't get a job for speaking out about something that's so important to me? Second off, we need to talk about how we speak about this issue. It's not just women who can get pregnant. Not all women can get pregnant. And not all people that can get pregnant are women. People who menstruate deserve abortion, even if they do not fit the box that you think about.
We didn't think about that, you know, if this keeps happening, you should just get
I
pregnant.
heard a lot of talk about voting, but there are so many people who will be affected by this who cannot vote. What about those who don't have U.S. citizenship? What about our children? There are money. Donate locally. www.abortionfunds.com is a great way to do it. It will distribute your donation to multiple abortion funds. And remember, this is so much more than just voting, than just showing up, than just giving money. This isn't something that's going to stop today or tomorrow or this year. Until we get our rights back, we will be doing everything we can. Thank you.
I'm not even going to say anything. Brian, your opinion, please.
Just right off the bat, obviously the whole verbiage stuff, it's like, oh, men can get pregnant too. Yeah, I mean, not everyone's Bill Gates. Not everyone can pop that type of belly. But no, just right off the bat, sweetheart, no. You're not going to have a hard time finding a job because of your opinion. You're not going to have a hard time for going into school. You're not going to get fired for all your beliefs. You have mainstream corporate beliefs. Companies like Microsoft. She is
not bucking the system.
No, not at all. It's like, what was it? Tim Pool made a joke. It's like rage in unison with the machine or something like that. You're not fighting back against anything. You literally are lockstep with these big companies, Tesla, Amazon, whatever, where they'll give people money to be able to go out of state to get abortions. So it's like, you can't to sit there and act like you have some form of political ideology that will get you blacklisted. Yeah, blackballed. No, it's not going to happen. I mean, if you want to talk about actual like controversial ideas, I today made a post where I said that it's ironic. We can put that up in the cue card, show the picture. It was just an ironic picture. No uterus, no opinion, and it was in the trash. So I was like, yeah, trash opinion. And because of that, I had people attempting to dox me for that opinion. That won't ever happen for Emily, or so-called whatever her name is. It was so with the hat and the glasses to try to hide in. It's just funny. I just feel really bad for these women more than anything, just because of this lie that they're sold. Because
it's very sad.
It's very sad. I mean, you could tell the way that she's stressing. I mean, she was like no older than 20, and it sounded like she was just gonna drop dead of an aneurysm right there, and it's just sad.
I will say that you bring up a very good point, because from as long as I can remember, a lot of my perceived value in myself was the fact that I was a woman. I had these abilities to bear children and to raise children and nurture them, and I took a lot of pride in that. I still do to this day. And it's very sad to see women give up that part of them, and think of it as a bad thing. I know a lot of women that have had kids out of crappy situations, and at least they say to me, at least this happy life came out of a bad situation. And I know that, not every kid gets the best outcome. Not every kid has the best upbringing. But for these women that don't necessarily have the best situation when they got pregnant, that go through with their pregnancy and have their child and raise their child, they see, the happiness that child has and has brought to their life, and it brings a lot of fulfillment to them. But it is very sad to see these young girls, and I mean, later on you'll see just a teenager, she was no more than 16, up here speaking, and that in and of itself is very sad to see someone take such a aggressive stance on something that is a part of them. It's a part of women's biology to be nurturing and to be caring and to bear children. It's not the fact that we have ovaries that makes us women. Our physical autonomy is definitely a big part of it, but that is not the only thing, and not everyone can just say they're a woman and be a woman. There's different biological components and emotional components that go into it, and how we were created that really make us women and make us people that can bear children and all of these things. So to see young girls up there advocating for basically just the lack of what it means to be a woman out there and just is sacrificing that part of their identity is definitely very sad.
Yeah, while we're on the topic of like what it means to be a woman, a man's gonna come and say what it means to be a woman and explain what that actually is. But no, so it's crazy to me. You'll see lots of young women on Snapchat stories, because these types of women, they're promoted as doing something amazing, like who have hysterectomies or they get their tubes tied or one other ways to do to make themselves infertile,
which has a lot of biological consequences for women doing that. Just adding that in there, that doing that is not a consequence-free decision you're making there. Yeah,
but so basically, I have had a thought about that. So we've talked about how I don't think that PCOS is like what everyone makes it out to be, because of the fact that like most of the people who get diagnosed with PCOS is they just go off of just totally just like random markers. It's like, oh, you have slightly higher testosterone. Okay, yeah, you have PCOS, right? And so what I wonder is that because of all the things like chemicals within the food, within the clothes, within everything,
that is a rabbit hole I am not enjoying falling down. Let me tell you right now.
So it's like, if you look into all the things and how our endocrine system is being messed up, I wonder if that is what has happened and why these women are becoming so crazy. In the sense, it's like why they are not having this maternal instinct. Is it because their endocrine system is so just screwed because of all these chemicals that they're just not getting that maternal instinct, that they will literally sterilize themselves because they don't have that internal instinct, because they have artificially high testosterone, they have depressed estrogen levels, progesterone levels, all these different types of things just from, everything, shampoo, even receipts.
Yeah,
everything. It's just a concept that I wonder if that's why everyone is just so, they just do not get this instinct because their hormones are all messed up just from the food and everything.
Yeah. That is definitely a big problem in Western society for sure. I even see things as little as gluten intolerances. People with celiac disease will go over to European countries where food is not processed as much as it is here in the States, and they can eat pasta, bread, all of these things and have no reaction to it. So it's definitely not reaching to say that other things in Western society could be affecting our endocrine system for sure. Mm-hmm. But there is more speakers, so we will get on to the next one.
All right, and next we have Emily. Hello, there is a lot of you. Oh my goodness. Okay, I just want to ask all of you a question really quick. I want to know how many of you here feel like have either been told, why are you walking around alone at night? You need to start wearing mace. You need to start wearing a pocket knife. You need to start carrying weapons. You need to start dressing provocatively because men think that they own you. That is done. We do not live in a country that allows for women to not have control over what happens in their body. Not just women. Anyone with a uterus. Anyone. We don't live in a country that allows for that. We don't live in a country that gives us room to not have an abortion, because sometimes the choice of pregnancy is taken away from us. It is taken away from us. I have never been sexually assaulted, but I know so many of you have, and that is what I am here for. That is why a lot of us are here. This cause is so important. 1 in 3 people are part of the LGBTQ community. Women make up 50% of our population. If it doesn't end now, it will end with my generation or my generation's generation. It will end. You've heard it before. You've heard it all day today. This decision must not stand, and it will not stand. Right.
So this is a young girl who felt emboldened to come up here and speak in front of all of these people. One of the things I noticed right off the bat was that when she was speaking, she said women and then backtracked that very quickly to really just people with uteruses. And, you know, I went into why that is sad, but that just is more evidence of it. Brian, what did you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, just exactly what you said, but it's not even just about the video. We don't have a recording of that, but actually we did end up running into her and her father after the people with the PA started to leave, and they had a very cute dog. Yeah, but no, so I mean, she was like 15 years old, and you know, her dad brought her out to this, and it's like the only thing that I'm more concerned, it's like, because at that age, I'm not going to sit there and bash on her much, but what I'm going to say is more so about the father. You know, it's like, what type of example are you setting? Why does your daughter really have these type of ideologies, like, and these types of values? Why are you not instilling positive values, being a positive role model, and basically explain like the difference? I mean, if your daughter is literally sitting there thinking, oh, what goes on within my body, like saying it's my body, and it's like, again, I don't have to argue this. We all know it's not the woman's body. There's a separate other body. I don't care what you do with your body. That was never the issue, because it's not your body. It's your job as a man, as a father, to educate your child, to teach them values and morals. And I just think that that's a failure of the parent. And I think that that's a failure of a lot of the parents that were there. There was lots of parents who brought really young children. I made them carry signs and all that. There's a video that we'll show later, where there's the mom singing with her, really cheap megaphone. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she, monkey see, monkey do. She just wants to do the same thing and then grow up to be a protester too. It's ridiculous. You know, the daughter wanted to play with the megaphone too, and was repeating what the mom was saying. I mean, it's honestly, it's not, I'm not going to say necessarily child abuse, but it's definitely just not helpful environments to bring your children around, because children do not need to experience this stuff. Children need to be children, and they need to be left out of these types of situations. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's just abhorrent. Protecting their innocence is definitely very important. But I think going off of what you said, with the fathers, I know I'm very thankful for my father, who very much so embraced positive femininity and teaching me to embrace, you know, what makes me a woman, and the femininity behind that, which definitely may not be the case here, but you know, I'm very thankful for my father, and I think that we need a lot more fathers like that are gonna, you know, tell their daughter why it's important to embrace, you know, being a woman of good character and of good moral standing, and just embracing, you know, what your body can do, and the fact that, I mean, we can create life. Like, we literally, there are so many TikToks around that go around, and it's like the TikTok of like a pregnant lady, and she's like, what I said when my husband came home and asked me what I did today, and it's like, I grew limbs. Have you ever done that? You know, like, that's awesome that our bodies are set up to do that. That's truly awesome, and being taught at a young age that is an awesome thing, and to embrace that is definitely very valuable in this society. We have one more speaker, so we're going to listen to that right now, and then we'll be back on here to switch over into our next little topic.
All right, I got one last speaker. Give it up for Ava.
Hello, everyone. My name's Eva. I'm a nurse. I'm between shifts right now. I think a lot of anti-abortionists that are fighting for the baby and fighting for the vulnerable, I just wanted to say that people that are making these laws have no fucking idea what it feels like to care about a vulnerable population. They have no idea what that looks like and what it feels like to be a caregiver or to care at all that the fact that they're doing this means that they don't care. So I just wanted to say that. And it's sad because I think anti-abortionists are brainwashed by this idea that they do care, and they don't. I'm telling you that they don't. And the last thing I wanted to say, I wanted to tell a quick story. I grew up religious, and I am Greek Orthodox, and I had a priest once, a very well-known, famous priest, explain to me that the people that are protesting, that are religious, that are pro-life, behind especially the Orthodox Church, speaking from his experience, he was infuriated because he...
Alright, so here we have this nurse who is in between shifts. She came out here in front of the Supreme Court building to speak to this crowd. One thing I would like to say about this is she's a nurse, so she has biology degrees. Even she admits that pro-lifers are fighting for the baby. She says that very clearly. Another thing that she says is that that pro-lifers have no idea what it's like to fight for a vulnerable population. And I think, on the contrary, that's exactly what pro-lifers are doing. They're fighting for the most vulnerable population. Unborn children are pretty much as vulnerable as it gets. I mean, they can't talk, they can't run away, that seems pretty vulnerable to me. So it's definitely interesting to see. Brian, what did you think about this?
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I think it's really telling is because she's up there and she's on the verge of tears, obviously. And then she goes into, fight for the baby. So it's like instinctually they know it's a baby. It's not a fetus. It's not a clump of cells. I mean, there's a picture that Don Jr. posted where it's like a pregnant woman with a paint on her pregnant stomach. I mean, she was like, what would you say, at least 7 months along in that picture?
8 months at least.
Yeah, 7-8 months. That literally said, this is not a human yet. We'll pull that up and put that up in the video, which is absolutely disgusting. But the only thing that I have to disagree with you is when you call it pro-life. I know it's you're just going off of what she said, but I think that...
And it's also the pretty general, contrary term, pro-life, pro-choice.
But see, as far as us as the right wing, I mean, we're winning right now. So, I mean, it's not like we really have to we do have to keep pushing. We can't just stop now. But we need to stop playing into their games. It's what it is. It's a straw man. That's all they're... It's like, oh, I'm pro-choice. Okay, so then the antithetical, the opposite of that is that we're anti-choice. That's the argument. That's what they're intentionally trying to do. But by us saying that we are pro-life, they're anti-life. I don't like that. It's just, it's not good argumentation. It's pro-abortion, anti-abortion. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. Either you're for it or you're against it. Any other argument outside of that, it's just an attempt to try to take down your opponent. And I think that we need to focus more on that type of aspect and not play into their hand. That's what they want you to do, because they want you to come off as that you don't care about choice, where it's like, no, you just don't want people to kill babies. And especially when it comes down to lots of minority groups that are the ones that are targeted for this.
Right, definitely. But yeah, so here we are outside of the Supreme Court. We have these speakers on the PA system and all of the opinions that they had to say. But we will be doing a part 2, continuing to discuss what happened outside of the Supreme Court the day after the Supreme Court's decision. But for today, we will be signing off. Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show. Mm-hmm. We look forward to having you on for part 2, and we hope to see you all there. That episode will be airing shortly. But for now, thank you for tuning in to the Josie Sullivan Podcast. I am your host, Josie Sullivan. Have a good day, everyone.